Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, March 12, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the dad's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at this post that was made not only on our Twitter page but our other social media platforms, highlighting the fact that we're going to be in for a total lunar eclipse, also known as a blood moon, at around 11:55 p.m. on Thursday, March 13, all the way up to 4:05 a.m. on Friday, March 14. So late Thursday night into early Friday morning. That's what's going to be taking place. And we basically know that when it comes to lunar eclipse, how it works is this: we have the sunshine shining on the other side of the earth, and then the shadow that the earth casts on the moon is red. This is because of the blue light being scattered by the earth's atmosphere, and then the red light gets refracted as it passes through the earth's atmosphere and falls onto the moon. So that is what's going to be taking place. So if you're down to see that, we have the timestamps here. As stated, it's going to be taking place between 11:55 p.m. on Thursday night all the way back to 4:05 a.m. in the morning. So if you are actually going to be staying up late at that time, because we know that many of us have to go to work on Friday, you can take your pictures, you can go live, or maybe you can wake up to take a pee break from the sleep and then, go and check it out before all is said and done and we head back into the normal moon kind of look. Alright, we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model round that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here as we go out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Thursday morning, what do we see? We see some moisture surrounding the island, so we're definitely going to be in for some amount of rainfall. Then as we head into Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting. Let us see if the GFS is showing something similar. We see moisture across the southwest and the northeast in the morning. Then Thursday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. We also see rainfall on Thursday evening, but are we going to be seeing rainfall Thursday night? Maybe into Friday morning, ruining the chances for us to see the actual lunar eclipse. We'll see it actually goes. Let's take a look at what Friday morning is showing us. According to the Euro, right here, we still see a lot of moisture in and around Jamaica, extending into Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Then by Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Let us match that latest Euro to the latest GFS. The moisture is to the southwest of us, the moisture is to the east of us by 7 a.m. on Friday. Then by Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. A very wet Thursday and Friday afternoon, according to the Euro and GFS supercomputer models. It's going to be interesting to see if that actually verifies. Saturday morning, what do we see? Rainfall to the west of us, to the south of us. Then by Saturday afternoon, we see some isolated showers across section of some central and western parishes. On the GFS, Saturday morning, rainfall to the west of us, rainfall to the southeast of us. And then by Saturday afternoon, we see that rainfall across northern and western parishes. A very interesting pattern. We see more of a southeasterly kind of flow as well by the isobars around the ridge of high pressure to the north. Very interesting. Let's see what's going to be taking place on Sunday morning, showing some rainfall to the south of us, east of us, and west of us. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across sections of some eastern, southern, and western parishes. Let's see, Sunday morning, look at that rainfall to the west of us, south of us, and across eastern Jamaica. Then Sunday afternoon, look at that rainfall eastern, northern, and western parishes. Very interesting forecast for sure for Sunday. So it looks like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday gonna be a bit wet. Let's see what's up for Monday morning. Monday morning, what do we see? Not much of anything on land across Jamaica, but look at the moisture associated with a possible frontal system off the east coast of the US all the way down to portions of Florida, the eastern Gulf, the Yucatan Peninsula, and western Cuba. Then by Monday afternoon, what do we see? Maybe some isolated showers across sections of some southern or western parishes. Let's see what the latest GFS is showing. We see that rainfall extending from the east coast of the US down into Florida, the western portions of Cuba, into the Yucatan Peninsula. We also see a lot of moisture to the south of us across eastern Jamaica too. And then by a Monday afternoon, not really seeing much, maybe some isolated showers to the far south of us, nothing too significant. Well, it seems to be across the southern edge of the island. We'll see how that actually plays out. Heading into Tuesday morning, what do we see? Look at the moisture that we saw across the east coast of the US pushing eastward. That should be across section of the Bahamas, Central Cuba, Cayman Islands into Central America at that time. Not seeing much for Jamaica at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. But by the end of the day on Tuesday, we see that the rainfall should be pushing more eastward. It should be right there off to the west of us. Not seeing much on land at that time, but clearly the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Hispaniola, Honduras, Nicaragua should be getting in some amount of isolated shores. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So this is valid for Wednesday, March 19. And we can see that the moisture from the frontal system have made it all the way into Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, all the way up into the waters to the north of Hispaniola, extending down to Honduras and Nicaragua right there. Let's see what the GFS is showing. We see that Tuesday morning, the moisture associated with the frontal system should be right there into the Bahamas, Cuba, the Western Caribbean, northeastern Jamaica might be picking up some isolated shores. Tuesday afternoon, we see rainfall across the northeastern portion of the island still. Then by the end of the 1 John 68 hours, we're not seeing something similar to what we saw in the Euro. The Euro has the system more so to the northeast of the Bahamas, to the north of Hispaniola. The GFS has the system way over here to the east of Bermuda. And we still see some isolated shores across portion of the Caribbean. It's going to be interesting to see how it actually unfolds by the end of the next 7 days. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most in the way for rainfall should be where we have these dark reds into purples and pinks. And we know these dark reds into purples and pinks are representing what we see here on the key on the right. That's the 2 to 3 inches of rainfall and the 3 to 5 inches of rainfall range. And we're talking about areas such as the waters to the north of the eastern Caribbean, section of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. We also see an abundance of rainfall across section of northern South America, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia. The Euro model right here showing a lot of rainfall for the northwestern edge of Honduras, but we're not really seeing that on the GFS for Honduras at all. But we do see it for every other area that we mentioned. We also see the greens into the yellows into the oranges and reds. That represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall for other areas such as Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, section of the Bahamas, the Eastern Caribbean, the Leeward Islands, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, section of Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, sections of Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula right there. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. And we clearly see that the most rainfall should be plaguing portion of Northern and South America. So that's where most of the isolated flash flooding could take place. But we're going to be switching gears and focusing most of our attention on Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days. Both maps right here are showing all the rainfall expected from now up until Wednesday, March 19, and we can see the blues into the greens and even into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 1 millimeter all the way up to 15 millimeters, all the way up to 42 millimeters of rainfall, as we can see here across the southwestern end of the island. That's just the Euro though, but the GFS is adamant that the most rainfall should be across the eastern end. Look at the yellows, representing up to 36 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see what actually plays out. Either way, we know most of this rainfall that we see across the island from the eastern end to the western end should be plaguing us mainly during the afternoon, as we saw on the Euro and GFS 1 hour totals. We'll see what actually plays out, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure across the Gulf, another ridge of high pressure right here to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we know the ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see blue spike lines right here and broken orange lines associated with numerous troughs and the frontal system extending down to portion of the Greater Antilles, as we can see here. You also see another frontal system right here to the north of the Cabo Verde Islands, extending out to the north of the main development region. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities that we just mentioned. The clouds associated with the troughs and the frontal systems spinning away right here with the area of low pressure to the north of the Caribbean. Look at that vigorous spin right there. We can see the clouds extending down to portions of Hispaniola, eastern Cuba. Definitely bring some overcast skies, if not some rainfall, to the area. You can also make out the low-level clouds extending down to the north of the main development region, all courtesy of the other frontal system that we saw there on the surface map. And we can make out the low to mid-level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, March 12, 2025. It was stated that we would have had some afternoon rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 5:06 p.m., the visible satellite image was not only posted on our Twitter page with Jamaica, but it was also posted on our Instagram page with Jamaica, on our Tik Tok page with Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the visible satellite image right here, highlighting that we're indeed getting in on some amount of cloud, bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. So anywhere from northern St. Thomas, southern Portland, section of northern St. Andrew, section of St. Mary, section of northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland, sections of maybe southeastern St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, definitely gotten on some amount of overcast skies, if not some isolated shower activity today. And we can see the visible satellite imagery right here even better before we lost the sunlight. We can even make out some of the clouds maybe pushing off towards the east, all courtesy of the upper level wind pushing them off towards that direction. And we see that even by the time that we're losing the sunlight, we're still getting on some amount of overcast skies, if not some isolated showers. So some areas could be getting on some rainfall as we speak. Unfortunately, the infrared close-up satellite imagery from the Weather Nerds website still glitched out still showing March 11 for the most part, but by the end of the run it showed March 12. Just for a brief moment that was showing 1625 UTC. That's around about, let's say, 11:25 a.m. Jamaica time. But clearly we saw nothing to see here in terms of convection. No blues, greens, yellows, oranges, or reds that represent some amount of thunderstorm activity at all. No sparkling white dots that represent some amount of lightning strikes or lightning flashes either. But if we take a look at the halfway tree live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, at around 1:28 p.m. we can see that it was definitely a sunny day. People walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. And you can see the sky right here, blue as ever. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, Crossroads, the Bogwalk Gorge showing the flat bridge in St. Catherine, you can just visit this YouTube channel, that's See Jamaica. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map paints quite the picture of where we might have had the rainfall today, clearly across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, but more so inland areas, maybe northern areas of some southern parishes, and southern areas of some northern parishes. That's where the brunt of the rainfall was. And we have some comments here confirming what the weather was like in some of our followers here. We have just underscore me on our TikTok page stating that the conditions that they were experiencing, definitely dark conditions. We also have Ainsley 47 on our Instagram page stating good rain in Manchester. Thanks for the comment. And even on our Facebook page we had Sam Neil confirming the weather in their area. We have it is raining in Gale St. Mary. Thanks for that comment too. Alright, so unfortunately we don't have the latest still image to show from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see if we have the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery, Guantanamo Bay imagery, and Cayman radar imagery to show. Let's reload these. Let's see if it's going to be updating and showing us what we need to see. Unfortunately, no. It's going to March 12 at 5:50 p.m., which is actually 4:50 p.m. Jamaica time. Don't see much of anything at that time. Maybe some greens into the yellows represent some moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall across inland areas of some central parishes and western parishes. But we're not seeing what's happening right now at all. Taking a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, we can make out some moderate to heavy rainfall in and around Guantanamo as we speak, very near where the radar station is located. We also see some isolated shores right here across the northwestern portions of the western peninsula of Haiti. Not see much of anything across northeastern Jamaica at all. Taking a look at the Doppler radar imagery from the Cayman radar side, not see much of anything across the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica or southern Cuba, but we do see some isolated sprinkles in the greens to the south and to the west of the Cayman Islands right there. Taking a look at the flat bridge camera, we can make out that it's definitely raining. You can make out the light rainfall. We see the water being splashed by that rainfall, and we can see the water droplets from the trees. We can also definitely make out the very soaked flat bridge right there. I hope the people who are driving through are taking the necessary precautions so that they are not the next victim of this bridge at all, especially with these wet conditions. We don't want to be out there in a possible accident at all. Alright, so moving on, we can see the temperatures right now are around 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 22 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight yellow colors that we know represent up to at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperature for the month of March across the island of Jamaica is around 87.3 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, That's around 30.7 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.7 to 31.7 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on a Thursday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online's Twitter page to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages in an area, it can definitely be made worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down because there is no power. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Thursday, March 13, 2025. And we're referring to Wharf Road, as well as Shantoy, Marchtown, Logwood, and Fish River in Hanover from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. We're also referring to Sandbed, Temple Hall to Friendship Gap, Mount Prospect, Oakley, Brandon Hill, Mount Zion, Toms River, Golden River, Florence Hill, Randy Hole, Castleton, Orange Field, and roads leading off in the parish of St. Andrew from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Planters Road in St. Catherine from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And finally, we have Anchovy Land Settlement in Portland from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Either way, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold food such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, you know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, oranges, and the reds, as well as the whites within those reds, that represent the basic dry air in general. Look how dry the air is off the coast of Africa. Look how dry the air is off the coast of the United States. You know, the dry air is responsible for making the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain, making it harder for us to get storm systems this time of year. But we also see that we have a lot of blues across the intertropical convergent zone, blues across the eastern Pacific. That's where the most moist air is. And the second stage of the moist air is the yellows. That's the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, and we see some of that across the area to the south of Mexico, the western Caribbean, into portion of Jamaica, eastern Cuba. Anywhere that we have the frontal system right now, that's where we have the most moist air across the Caribbean. And that's what we want to see. We want moist air. We want the rainfall to keep the water in our pipes for sure. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast, for this is what 18 UTC, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So for reference, we have the United States right here, we have Cuba right here, we have Jamaica right here, and we have Hispaniola and Puerto Rico to the east of us. All of these browns, as we can see here from the key on the bottom, represent the Saharan dust, and it makes sense. There's a lot of Saharan dust across portions of Europe as well as Africa. But in terms of the Saharan dust pushing towards the west across the Atlantic, we see just the low end of the scale, the light shades of browns representing anywhere from between 1 and maybe 25. The closest in intensity is right here closest to Africa. Nothing significant clearly. Everywhere else is in the clear. All the entire Western Hemisphere, sections of Northern South America, the Caribbean, Central America, and North America, all in the clear from the Saharan dust. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see the light shades of blues into dark shades of blues extending from the Gulf into the Western Caribbean, Central and Eastern Caribbean. That represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more dull greens representing anywhere from 5 to 10 knots, maybe even gusting to 15 knots in some spots, coming in from the east across the Caribbean, curving northward into the northwestern Caribbean, curving more northward into the Gulf right there. And regarding Jamaica's wave forecast, we see up to at least 1 meter wave height on the north coast, maybe up to 0.8 of a meter wave height on the south coast, and that's because of the winds that are expected. Wind should be coming out of the east averaging 12 knots on the north coast, on the south coast coming in from the east averaging 11 knots. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some eastern, central and western parishes. That's where we could have the daytime heating, making all of the air pile up, bringing forth some amount of isolated shower activity during the afternoon, and with the upper level winds coming in from the northwest or from the west northwest tomorrow, If we get some convection tomorrow, those high cold cloud tops could be sheared up towards the east southeast or towards the southeast, making way for more rainfall into sections of some southern parishes. But let's switch gears and focus our attention on the actual rainfall forecast for tomorrow. Both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see on both the Euro and the GFS models? Clearly we see rainfall to the north of Jamaica, to the south of Jamaica on the Euro. GFS, something a bit similar, but it's more so on the northeastern end and the southwestern end. Very interesting forecast. We will be getting some rainfall across the northeastern end, as we can see here, maybe Portland, St. Thomas, St. Mary in the early morning hours, 6 a.m. on Thursday. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. And then by around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, look at the consensus for rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. You're even more robust with the dark blues, greens, and yellows across sections of some south, central, and southwestern parishes. GFS showing something similar across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. Very interesting for 3 p.m. Even by 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 p.m. Jamaica time, we still see the blues represent rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. It's going to be interesting to see how it actually unfolds, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow. We see the greens into the yellows into the oranges. We see the Euro going all the way up to 0.48 of an inch of rainfall. Could be more than that. The GFS going all the way up to 0.39 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, what happens, we'll take it, because we're in the month of March. And in March, that's our driest month of the year across Jamaica. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 10 millimeters of rainfall for the month of March. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 2.2 inches of rainfall for the month of March. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see what your specific parish usually receives for the month of March or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit www.weather-and-climate.com, and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the calculations yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, there's some low to mid-level clouds across portion of the eastern Caribbean, frontal systems clouds plaguing portion of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, southeastern Cuba, Jamaica as we speak. Sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana getting their fair share of clouds and thunder showers. And if we take a look at what's happening regarding the northeastern Caribbean's weather, seeing some isolated showers in and around Guadeloupe as usual, seeing some rainfall to the south and to the north of Puerto Rico. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see that not much was taking place. But regarding the Barbados radar, look at the rainfall to the west of Barbados, look at the rainfall to the east of Barbados. Some of that rainfall could make it into portion of Barbados as it pushes towards west later on tonight. We can also see some of that rainfall to the west of Barbados pushing into portion of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, maybe even as far south as Tobago, and maybe even Trinidad later on. And if we take a look at the weather via Doppler radar images, we can make out some isolated showers across section of Colombia. We can make out some moderate to heavy rainfall across section of Suriname and Guyana as we speak. They're definitely getting on some flood triggering rainfall over there for sure. But regarding where most of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, clearly we see that area that we just saw the heaviest rain across section of Suriname, Guyana, French Guyana, southern Venezuela, Colombia. We also see some rainfall in store for sections of Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic for sure, section of southeastern Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, some isolated showers in store for Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, sections of Barbados. We also see some rainfall in store for St. Vincent, even section of Panama, Costa Rica, section of El Salvador. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.